Foe is a brand new science fiction psychological drama based on a 2018 novel of the same name, which is written by Iain Reid, who also is the co-writer of this very film. Now, for those that aren't too familiar with the novel or this movie, let's just say after I got done watching it, it had shades of What If Her met Interstellar. Let's talk about it. What is going on to all my movie fans out there, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you all my thoughts of this brand new film, Foe, which I got an opportunity to check out a week before it's released to the public, which will be available on October 6th in limited theaters, as well as available to stream on Amazon Prime on the same day. Now, I'm going to let y'all know my thoughts of the film, but also I'm going to let you know if it's worth checking out, all in today's spoiler-free review. But first, let's start the conversation in the comments below. For those that have read the book, which one did you prefer more? Did you prefer the story within the novel, or did you prefer the film because it was written by the same person? But let's also talk about the movie at hand. What worked? What didn't work? Did you enjoy the performances, the overall story? Were you surprised by the different twists and turns that the film had to offer? And in the comments, once you've seen the film, and of course if you read the novel, no spoilers whatsoever, just a yes or no answer, and you'll know what I'm referring to when you see the film. Do you think Junior knew? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments below. So let's talk about this movie. The film follows a married couple whose lives get turned upside down when a stranger arrives at their farm and informs the husband that he will be sent to a large space station and his wife will be left in company of a robot. This sounds pretty crazy, right? Well, we're going to get into the story here in a bit, but let's just say this. I want to start off by saying this. Now, I got the opportunity to see this about a week ago at a critic screening, and after seeing the film and speaking with my fellow critics who I respect their opinions, and also as I'm pre-recording this on a weekend, it's premiering at the New York Film Festival, and some of the stuff I've seen online, let's just say this, based on the conversation I had with my critics out here in my market, and some of the stuff I saw on Twitter after, or I should say X, after it premiered at the New York Film Festival, I think it's safe to say that I might be in the minority with this film, because I'm going to tell y'all right now, I really enjoyed it. It has its flaws, but for the most part, I had a good time with this film, and we'll get into those reasons in today's spoiler-free review. But let's start off by talking about the positives, as we'll break it all down. But to me, this film has a lot to offer. This film is a marital drama mixed into a science fiction thriller, so it's asking this audience to take this interesting blend of genres. The thing that kept me grounded within this narrative was the performances by our three leads were nothing short of just truly captivating. They really navigated me through this sometimes uneven, very ambitious, but also, quite frankly, confusing story. We're going to get into those performances here in a bit, but let's break it down a little bit further, as this film comes to us by director Garth Davis, who also co-wrote this film with the writer of the book, like I mentioned, Iain Reid. I found this mixture of science fiction mixed in with this marital drama and some hints of mystery throughout that kept me on my toes, as I really didn't know where this film was going. Like, again, I didn't read the novel. I saw like a little bit of the trailer when Amazon dropped it a couple weeks ago, but I went into this pretty cold, and like I said, I was just like, where is this film going? For better or for worse, I was just really kept on my toes throughout this narrative. Now, to speak on those what I call captivating performances, my goodness, I think regardless of where you land on the positives of this film or the negatives, I think we can all agree Saoirse Ronan, Paul Mescal, and Aaron Pierre gave amazing performances. Let's talk about Saoirse first, who I'm a big fan of. I thought that she was just phenomenal in this film. She plays the wife, and she's not happy in her relationship with her husband. And seeing her going on this journey to try to recapture the love that they once shared, but also in doing so, she finds herself. Now, I have been following Saoirse since she was just a little kid, man, and just seeing her becoming this like world-class actress, and she just delivers so much depth and so much nuance of performance. I was just so in awe of her, as I have been for most of her career. But this is I won't say it's the best, you know, I have Lady Bird and I have Little Women. Like, she has just a great filmography, but this is one of my favorite performances of her entire career. Like, she is phenomenal. Speaking of phenomenal, Paul Mescal, like my man just got on the spotlight about a year ago with Afterburn, which he was phenomenal on that, and he has just been working nonstop. Like we have like 9 more Paul Mescal films coming out within like less than 6 months. The man's great. And he's great in this movie. Now, Paul plays a character. He plays the husband by the name of Junior. He doesn't see any problems in their relationship. He's pretty happy. He's pretty content with this very simple life that they live and their simple existence. And he just allows them to just live on this farm that has been passed down from generation to generation. And even though this film takes place in 2065 in the future, and the resources of the world are extremely limited, everything just seems fine to Junior, right? Until he inevitably breaks down. And the chemistry between Paul and Saoirse, phenomenal, guys. Like I was really bought into that marital drama. I really enjoyed just seeing these characters clash with each other, come at differences, come together, break apart. I mean, it's just a roller coaster of emotions with these two characters. And I thought, again, Paul and Saoirse gave a wonderful performance. But the MVP for me goes to Aaron Pierce, who plays a character by the name of Terrence. Now, he's the one that is working with the government and is tasked to helping Junior prepare to go on this required trip to this space station. He has to conduct these interviews with the couple, and he is just very odd. He has this sense of humor. He has these moments of levity. He's very off-kilter, but he's also creepy. And Aaron Pierce, man, ever since he came on the scenes for me with the TV show with Barry Jenkins by the name of Underground, and he was, I didn't like Old by M. Night Shyamalan, but he was great in that. And then he was in a film this year called Brother. This man, my gosh, like he is just so captivating. He has this presence to him on everything I've seen the man. But in this film, like I said, he could be happy, he could be fun, he could be weird as hell. My goodness, he stole this movie, man. He was just so phenomenal. And just kind of wrapping up the performances as a whole, they all delivered world-class performances. And it's just a matter of time that all 3 of these actors will have Academy Awards on their shelves sooner rather than later. Now, diving a little bit into the story without giving too much away, we're seeing this concept of keeping someone's company while their partner is gone, and you have an AI being that person that's going to keep them company. And the film handles that in a way where the elements and seeing how it unfolds, it completely changes the film. For some, it may not work, but for me, I loved it because when I do inevitably rewatch this film, you can look at the movie from a different perspective once the story kind of unfolds. So I really like, I'll discuss the AI element a little bit later as far as the negative, but the premise and the idea of this robot replacing your husband, and you have to kind of build this rapport with them, and just seeing how all that shaped out was just really fascinating to me. Now, there are a lot of ideas that are thrown into this story, and some of them aren't fully realized, but I like how the director gives you space to pay attention. Those moments, breathing and being able to sit in the scene were just truly beautiful. Like when it comes to the cinematography, the details of this incredibly shot film, of seeing these fields of dying areas where the crops used to grow, and they were just breathtaking landscape shots, and they were just like literally art pieces, and then mixed in with this beautiful score, which, by the way, I mentioned Interstellar earlier for some comparisons here. There's like a moment in the film, and for those that love Hans Zimmer's score for Interstellar, which is one of my favorite scores and my favorite science fiction film of all time, there's a hint of that Interstellar score. Y'all, if you know the score, you'll hear a little bit of that. So I'll put a smile on my face here in that element. But again, I really enjoyed that element of the film of, again, kind of exploring the beauties of this kind of world that has just decimated. Now, what really kept me invested in this film was this deteriorating relationship. This marriage is so unbalanced, and particularly the wife is trying to find her love in this absence, and we see the consequences of being passive in a relationship and not addressing the issues. And we see from the husband's perspective, Junior, he's just very complicit with the situation. But when you see this relationship unfold, it's really a matter of convenience. This is there's not actual true love between these two. They just happen to be like, okay, we are on this farm, the world's kind of coming to an end, let's just be together for the sake of being together, which ultimately isn't a good thing to do. But then bringing in the Terrence character of it all, the question that's asked of this couple is, how well do you know your partner? And bringing in Terrence to this film, he brings another layer and complexity to this relationship, as he's an external source of a sense that's asking this couple to put their marriage on hold, on temporary hold, which is very interesting because it almost feels like, what if someone's going off to war? And you're seeing, and the partners being asked to keep the love strong long to keep the hope alive and to try to work on the relationship while the other partner's not there. So it's just a very interesting thing that's asked of our main character played by Saoirse. But again, bringing in, here's this robot to keep you company, and you don't have a choice of the matter. So again, what comes with that, the twist that comes with that, was something that just really kept me engaged with this narrative. Now, of course, this film does not come without its flaws. Starting off with my criticisms here, I'll be honest, there's a lot of ideas that aren't fully developed. Now, as a fan of science fiction, I have to mention this movie comes in under 2 hours, which the pacing is pretty solid for the most part. There are some lows, but when it comes to the world and what we're looking into, this is a very character-driven story, which I appreciated, but this film definitely, to me, needed another 10 to 15 minutes to truly explore more of the world, because they're existing in the world that's withering away, and this space station plot wasn't truly fleshed out. We're in the year of 2065. We have no, like, there's a Blade Runner car, like there's hints of, yes, this takes place in the future, but they don't really explore, like, okay, what's the technology used in the future? What's the world politics? What does the world think of the situation of the space station, the politics going into that? There's a lot to be had. There's a lot in this film. And again, I love science fiction. I love the conversation science fiction has that talks to what's going on in our current society in 2023, but also what it can look like in 30 years. And I feel like the film kind of left a lot of those ideas on the cutting room floor. It might be more developed in the book, but in the film, it's kind of short as far as the shortcomings of really not exploring those elements. Also, as I mentioned, there's an AI component to this film, but the film doesn't really take too much time really diving into the complexity of that particular idea of a AI duplicate clone of yourself is going to be staying in home with your partner. It isn't really fleshed out. I really wish they would have dove more into the idea of this AI being like a replacement of your spouse. But also, again, going back to the world, there's climate crises going on in the world that's really not explored. Also, a big thing that I wish the film would explore just a little bit more is this seamlessly dying marriage. Like, what is the main issue at hand? Again, I know Junior's on this farm. He's kind of forcing his wife to live the life that he wants, but that's about it. I wish they would have really dove into the deep-rootedness, the issue that's at hand with this marriage that is, like I said, falling apart. Now, this isn't really a negative or a positive. This is more or less a discussion that I want to have with you all in the comments below. I personally liked how the film ended, as it makes you wonder if this person is next to go somewhere, or if this was a callback to a line earlier in the film with a blank piece of paper. But let me know if you thought the ending worked or if it didn't work, and more particularly, if you read the novel, how different was the ending and which one did you prefer? So again, this isn't a negative or a positive. I'm just curious to have that conversation with you all in the comments below. So before I give you all my overall score and let you know if I think this is worth your time, if you stuck around to this point in the review, I really appreciate you all. Just a friendly reminder to hit the like button, share today's review, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and of course consider subscribing to the channel. Overall, Foe is a very ambitious science fiction drama, but the heart of the film explores what happens when you fall in love with a version of someone and what happens when you inevitably fall out of love with them. Now, I do wish all the ideas of the film came together better, but I was just completely lost in these stellar performances. I'm not ignoring the issues of the script or some of the pacing, but I was just so riveted by the acting in this film. And just seeing the exploration of these characters, wishing that the version of that person they fell in love with would come back because of the false belief that they were made to be with each other and made for each other. Now, this movie can come off to be very strange, odd, weird, and a bit offbeat, and a little bit all over the place at points, but I think we can all admit that we sometimes come across these type of movies that even though we can see the flaws and we see the issues that the film has at hand, you still end up liking the movie. And for me, that's what Foe is. I really enjoyed this, and I'm going to give Foe a 4 out of 5. Again, it's going to be very interesting to see where people land on this film, whether you read the book or haven't read the book. Again, right now it feels like I'm in a minority. Again, the performances just really elevated a lackluster story that could have been better. But I enjoyed it, but now it's your turn to let me know what you all thought of this film in the comments. If you read the book, again, let me know the differences, what worked better in the book, what worked better in the film, which one did you personally prefer? And then, like, if you're someone like me that didn't read the book, what did you think of the movie as a whole? Performances, direction, cinematography, what worked, what didn't work? Let's talk about that in the comments below. Thank you again for watching today's review. Just a friendly reminder to like, share, comment, and consider subscribing to the channel. Help me reach my next milestone of 60,000 subscribers. Thank you again. You all are awesome. Hope you're staying safe, and I'll catch you all on the next breakdown.